About collections, and my plan today was to play more with collections, and in particular maps. Lists tend to be super easy because they're the same as arrays, but don't tell anybody. But maps tend to be slightly more complicated. So, one of my standard examples for when to use maps and things like that is choose your own adventure. If you grew up in the US, please tell me you did these things. You did, right? They are kids' books where it's like, oh, you're here, da, 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 and then if you want to do this, go to page whatever. If you want to do that, go to page whatever, right? And you can choose your own adventure, and you die of dysentery. No, that was the other guy. It is similar to like really old computer games, Hunt the Wumpus, and then those kinds of things, right? I tend to think of this as adventure games, right? And they are similar to, there were graphic adventure games, and now there are EverQuest and those things. They're similar but not the same. You understand what this is, right? You remember this stuff. Now, how can we make these things in a computer? Let me actually use a choose your own adventure book as our domain. Does that make sense? Rather than any other one. So, actually, let me create a new package. We're going to have a book class. Now, what is a book? One of these books, right? What's it going to have? Well, maybe it has a title, right? What else does it have? Sorry? Well, we don't care about the price. We're not selling it, right? We are doing this stuff. We are programming this stuff. Chapters, maybe. Do you ever use chapters? You go to pages, right? Author, we don't care. How do we represent the pages? What are the pages? Numbers. Could we do this? Could we do this? Or should we do and what are the advantages and disadvantages of each one? Could we say we have a bunch of pages, so it's just an array? What's the problem with that? I don't know how many pages I have, so it can't grow, right? Does that make sense? So that makes it kind of suck. Now, can I make it a list of pages? Or should I make it a map of integers, integer to page? They are similar, right? A list is a map from integers to whatever, right? Except that a list is compact, right?
It's compact?
Yes. It's supposed to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Does that make sense? This one would have an element, if it has 10 elements, the elements are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one has 10 elements, but the integers could be 10, 20, 30, 17, right? This one can have holes. This one cannot. Does that idea make sense? I can always cheat, right? If I need, a book has 100 pages, but 30 of them are blank, I can just have 100 and have nulls for the 30 that are blank, right? But on a book like this, you may have tons of blank pages, right?
Or do you? I think it has
I don't know.
doesn't have a page for every one, but it's just where you go.
Nah, they'll have like blank pages.
Wait,
One per chapter or something like that.
Oh, it does have one?
No? Maybe.
No, it does. Yeah, so it still has pages like 1 to 100.
It has pages 1 to 100, but 10 of them are blank.
Oh.
What do we want to use? This or this?
Well, I suspect the right answer is going to be map.
That's what I want. But actually, it may be that we want to use a list just because that way we use both kinds of collections.
Yeah, I'm wondering why can't we just use a list?
We can. Sure, why not? We can use a list as long as we don't grow it. When I want to add a page, I want to say page, I'm adding page 15. Does that make sense? With this, it's hard to do that. If I add page 15, I also have to add pages 0 through 15, rather than just page 15. Does that make sense? So if you don't mind humoring me, let me do it like this. Do you understand why? So that when I'm adding stuff, I can have a page without having the previous ones. So now I'm going to define my page. What do I have if I'm a page? Okay, let's do this. Integer. And let me, most of these things, and it may not be the right thing, but I'm going to make them all public. This is the page number, right? What do we call it? Contents or description, or what's the stuff? Text. That depends. It's not abbreviating. One is an object, the other one's a primitive. It's perfectly okay. We can do either one. This could be an int. In fact, it makes sense for it to be an int. It will never be null. So that's the text. Now, what is this at the end? It's not a footnote, right? we need to represent it. How do we represent this?
I'm going to need the extra text.
I'm going to need the extra text, and then where does it go to? Does that make sense? So I could have a list of pairs of string of text and right values, right? Or I could do a map of string to integer. Does this make sense? Let me create a constructor. How do we add an action so that it's here in this map? Oh, and we need to do this. Possible actions. New hash map of. Remember, map is my interface, hash map is the most common implementing class, right? How do I add an action given the description and the page? How do I add an entry to the map? That is not add, because it's a map, so it's put, because it would be too easy if it was the same thing, right? I mean, you can't. Does this make sense? It is. You mean, do I need to write this dot?
Well, I mean, up at the top we didn't.
This? It's not a class variable, it's an instance variable.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Each page is going to have its own possible actions, right? There are the possible actions from this page, right? And book now. Let's see what kinds of things could we do, right? Let me create a main. Oh, this is a text. Let's say you're in the surface of the sea next to the beach. How can I do this thing? Why don't you let me do this thing, you horrible IDE?
So, like, more realistically, for writing a book, would you map like a page to like a file of a page or text?
Maybe.
Well, not many people are going to write a whole book in Java, though.
They're probably not going to write it in Java. Yes. In fact, we can, next class we're going to talk about files, so we can create it from a file. Yeah, they do. Many people say that every program, Java program, is a piece of mud. No. Mud is what, multi-user dungeons or something like that, right? Why isn't this thing letting me? I hate you, thingy. I'm gonna delete you. Cool. So I could do things like this, right? And I could do p1 dot add action if we go down, I'll go to page 2 and p1 dot add action get out and go to the beach, and that would give you to page 3.
So you could have like 20 add actions if you want.
I could, yeah. Now let's go to stuff with my book. Actually, now we are not going to sell these things. We are doing them on the computer, so right, yeah, they will have a price and stuff. Yeah. You're always looking for the important information, right? How much money are we going to make? What does adding a page look like? What do I do? Where am I storing my pages? In my map called pages, right? What do I map? The page number, right? Where is that page number stored? p.number, right? That is page number, right? So I'm gonna do pages.add p.number. Not add. Ah! It's your fault. You confused me. Does this make sense? Now, when you were playing these books, right, these choose your own adventure books, you also have a page that you start with, right? Then you have a set of pages where you die and a set of pages where you win, right? You didn't die. Well, you died. I don't know what they would tell you.
Always died.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Where do we put that stuff? We could put it on the page itself, right? We could say this page is a success page or this page is a dying page. But let me cheat and put it here. Set of integer.
Instead of like
I mean, they would still have their own page for you died, but I need to know that you died so that I stop. When
Okay.
I'm iterating through the program, right?
Oh, okay.
I need to know that you died,
Oh, okay.
right? So even though it tells you that you died, the main program still needs to know, or the
I see.
now should a book play itself? Let's assume. And what do we call it? Do we call it play?
Read itself?
Well, the book cannot read itself, right? That's why we're doing it in a program. So let me call it play, right? Let me call boolean
Maybe like the auto click-through or something.
yeah. We should really be passing a print stream and a reader, but I'm not gonna. Actually, maybe, yeah, why not? Reader in, right? Print stream out.
Wait, what's a reader?
You remember when we used to read? It's something where you can say, give me the next line or the next int or the next. Oh, sorry, never mind. It's something that we didn't really use. It's a scanner. Scanner is what we use, right? Never mind. Reader is the previous generation of the scanner.
I thought you were going to declare a whole new object.
Yeah.
A reader is a person, isn't it?
No, sorry. How about that? Maybe why I was. So, what do we do? And this would return true if you did it, right? True if it succeeded and false if it didn't.
Let's start from page 1.
Okay, so let me do int current page equals start page, right? While something, right? Do something.
Yeah, well, you haven't succeeded or failed. Yeah, success page or not.
Not.
Well, are your success pages pages where you don't die, or pages where you win?
Success is I win.
You would have 3 sets of pages, right?
Well,
Die.
you win, and if not, I keep playing.
Okay.
So those are neither success nor failure.
Okay, so that's what you
Yeah. So while I don't have it, right? Then I'm gonna do stuff.
get. Yeah,
Right? I could also use a break or something like that. What do you guys prefer? This sounds reasonable. I am going to print, right? So out dot println p dot wait, not pages dot get current page dot text. This is I'm a horrible person. Refactor, rename. Right? Now I can have page, current page, pages.get, current page number. Right?
Okay, so the pages is a map and the page number is going to be the key.
Yes. Pages is a map from integer to page.
Oh, yeah, map pages. There it is.
So we can get the current page, we can print current page dot text, right? Now we can print all the possible actions, right? They are stored on map.entry from string to integer. We can go to all the entries, right? Which could go on current page dot possible actions dot entry set.
Does C have that special for loop, by the way?
I have no clue. I haven't used C since C99. C99 didn't. I have no clue if they added it. C++ has something like that, and I have no clue what has been added to C. I haven't looked at C in ages.
I thought maybe it was something cool that Java had that other stuff.
I thought that.
Yeah, Java did a ton of really cool stuff that was cool in 95, and then it hasn't been cool since then. Networking, garbage collection, logs, right? They were cool in 95. After that, it hasn't been cool. Everybody else does it first before Java. On the other hand, that's probably why we still get paid. So I print all the possible actions, right? And then I'm gonna read that thing, right? That's probably dumb, but oh well, bear with me.
So the alternative to doing it this way with a map is just to have a god-awful, gigantic, if statement to write, the whole book in.
God, no, never. Because that would not be able to read from a file or anything like that. I mean, you could have a list of things. It doesn't need to be a map, but you need to represent it as data. If not, you're never going to be able to change it, and your code would mess you up. Okay, so this happened, so now we are gonna print when we are out, then either I'm one of the success pages or one of the other things. So I'm gonna print that stuff at current page, but pages dot get current page number dot text. And then and whether it contains it or not, right? Maybe.
Is it not? So first, so say we're gonna start out on page 1, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna go into our while loop. We're gonna check our page number. We're gonna go down. We're gonna print it out. Here's our options. Then we're gonna go into another while loop to make sure that's the correct option. But don't we need to set current page to the next
Yeah.
page?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, yes we do. So now we could do page 2, you go underwater, you run out of air and die. This is a really cool book. Three, you get ice cream and eventually die because that's unhealthy. But you get ice cream and are happy, right? So now we can create a book. What do I pass to the book? Going to the beach, and my first page is 1, right? I'm gonna do b dot add page p1. P2, p3. B dot success pages. That's the book. Starts its own stuff. Yeah. So dot add 2 is successful. Actually, the other way around, right? 2 is dying, so 3 is success and 2 is failure, right? It's a set, so it's add. Of course, you have to memorize those things. You have to do a million of them until it becomes obvious.
Can you go back to the book real quick, please? I missed the very last part.
Which, this stuff?
Down where you added in the success on the return success page.
Yes, it's going to return either true or false, right? Whether it was a success page or not. And then I can do system.out.println b.play new scanner of system.in and system.out. And maybe we would print more stuff. But let's see if this would work. Of course it wouldn't. God, the previous thing had stuff. What's this? Well. Nah, this is from a previous. Oops, no, I don't want to run this guy. But it still needs to compile before I'm allowed to compile. Sorry. Yay! You die, thingy. Now let's run this guy. So what do we want to do? Go underwire to page 2 or go to the bhgot? So let's do 2. Well, actually, let's do 5. Sorry, invalid page. Very helpful message. 2, you don't interfere and die, and it's false. 1, invalid page, right? Because I'm only those. 3, woohoo, get ice cream and are happy, and then returns true because we are successful and we should print really nice thing and do nice music. That kind of stuff. Isn't this cool? You can now get your game design degree also. Isn't this cool? Look at this. We have maps and more maps and sets and stuff. These collections are very powerful, right? For the most part, this is what you do. So you can produce really cool stuff in relatively short amount of time.
And all 3 of these collections are heavily used. There's not any one of them that's like, oh, we actually use something else. Map sets
you all the time you use sets and maps.
Okay.
And lists. Probably lists are the most used ones.
Okay.
But you use lists and sets and maps.
And what other like rarely used ones are there?
You have stacks, queues, and dequeues that nobody ever uses.
Well,
except when you do.
Learn about them, but,
there are other things like priority queues. Let's see.
they're all online, but only according to what priority level they have or something.
Sorry?
Have you taken the data from
No, I'll do that next.
It's basically the same as the queue that you assign priority and it goes.
It's a queue, but it's sorted by priority. So no matter what, when you add an element, you give it priority, and when you retrieve, you retrieve the one with the highest or lowest priority, depending on how you look at it.
So it's almost like it's like multiple queues at the same time.
It's a queue, but instead of
You do a sort before you insert it into the queue, so that you know when you pull from the front, it's going to be the one with the highest priority.
yes,
Instead of normally you just put it at the back of the line, but if you say the thing at the front of the line has priority 2 and this has priority 1, I'm going to insert it at the front of the list so that it's pulled before
Okay.
it's lower priority.
it's a queue, but with rich people. Yeah. That is used for simulations and for those kinds of things. There is list Oh, vector is an old version of array list.
So you really want to learn array list.
Yeah, forget about vector. Then from collection, you have.
It's good to know that. I wouldn't have known that. I mean, like, oh, okay, I can learn about this vector thing, and then maybe in practice.
Yeah. A vector is the same. It's a previous version of an array list, basically. And then there is DQ, which is double-ended queue. This block, which is interesting. There is set, but set is this one is also sorted, and this one you can iterate over it. Navigable set. Oh, cool. So you have filling and floor and those kinds of things. Kind of the next one. I have never used those. Cool. So, what should we do today? Quick sort again? Oh, we didn't do quick sort, right? Yeah. Do you really want to do quick sort?
I mean,
It's not that bad.
I like it.
You like it? Shall we do quick sort? Why not? Just on lists, not on. Sure, why not? Now would you let me? Ha! Now it lets me.
You just showed us like bubble sort. I don't think we did any of the merge sorts or any of the.
No, oh, merge sort is pretty. Actually, the previous one is heap sort.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Isn't that like okay, but it's not as fast as the other two?
Well, quick sort.
Or maybe that's the fastest one.
Quick sort in practice ends up being the fastest one. Heap sort is guaranteed n log n, whereas quick sort may, if you're unlucky, become n squared. So if you're risk averse, you use heap sort because it's guaranteed to not suck. Whereas quick sort will usually be faster, but sometimes would suck. So let's go look. Let's do stuff on lists, right? By the way, what's the fastest sort method? What's the best sort method to use? After you finish your data structures class, what's the fastest and best sort method to use? Whichever one your freaking language supports. You call collections.sort and the things sort themselves, right? And whoever wrote your language, chances are that they spent 6 months writing a sort method that's actually fast. So whatever you do is not going to be faster. Unless you're doing research on algorithms, right? Just use whatever that thing is.
And this, you can use a different algorithm to make it faster.
They will actually play, right, and test and do those kinds of things and make it faster. Yeah, so we have the.
How about what's the dynamic array? What's the difference between array and dynamic array?
We talked about, right, the list, the array list. It's like an array, but it can grow.
But the dynamic array is the one that grows.
Yes. No, and we can't really. One other thing that we'll do is actually go implement those things, because why not? Which is really data structures, but we actually did good time, so we have time to play with those things.
So is an array list and a collection the same thing, or is one kind of together?
Right. A collection is an interface. A list is an interface, right? A collection is two things, right? Collection is the generic that we use for all those bunches of things. It's also in Java a particular interface. The collection interface in Java has an add method and has a size method and has a way to iterate. So collection is the one that has the for each loop. A list is it's a extension, it's another interface that extends collection and adds get and set that take an index, right? And adds a bunch of delete at a given index and those kinds of things. Basically, that's get and set. Vector, array list, and linked list are implementations of the link class, of the list class, list interface. Sorry. Were those the two? Which ones did you ask? Yeah. And an array is a concept and an actual thing in Java that is not quite a collection. Right? An array is just a bunch of elements that are going to be stored contiguously in memory as a length and the data, and it cannot grow.
So the map is a method that you're calling.
A map is another interface that extends collection, but not list. And then hash map and tree map are my map implementations. And set is another interface that extends collection, but not list. And I have hash set and tree set as my main.
Oh, okay. So but you can never say set x equals new set. You have to say equals new
hash set, because set is an interface, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure about that.
yes, you have to say, you normally say hash set, but sometimes you say tree set. Yes. What other things do we have here? Oh, we haven't done binary search and collections. Can do. Oh. Let's do, just for fun, a horrible implementation of the set class. How about that? Oh, and then we can do a horrible implementation of the list of the map class. How can I implement a set? No. Just using a list. I'm just gonna do ugly stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna do list of integer. Yes.
The list is unordered, so it's already unordered.
Yes. So what do I have in a set? I have public void add. I'm gonna have actually, let's forget about remove. How can I have, right, add elements and then contains? I'm just gonna store my elements here, not sorted or anything like that, right? Really ugly way, not sorted or anything like that. What can I do? Well, I'm not gonna use contains. I have to do it by hand. What do I do? How do I check whether, right? Well, how can I do add? I'm gonna do elements.add. Have add. No. It's auto-boxing and unboxing. Yes, it's going from int to integer, but Java does it magically. It's auto-boxing. Creates the box for me. So if that's my add, what's my contains? Sorry? Well, there is one, but let's build it.
So then you're gonna have to loop through.
I go through all the elements, right?
Wait, I'm sorry. So list has element 0, element 1, just like okay.
A list is basically an array, but it can grow.
Doesn't it already have contains?
Yes, but you're not allowed to use it!
Yeah, so then you just loop from 1 to.
Go from 0 to dot.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, I'm glad you called it ln. It's confusing when you have if you call it element. Like
Well, I can't.
Oh, okay, but sometimes with like the parameter and then like
Yeah.
value inside the class, it's like the same name.
That's why you use this, but in this case I couldn't.
Especially when I'm a super beginner, it's like, oh wait, okay, so this is talking about the parameter, not the class value.
So this would be a horrible implementation of a set of integers. It does work, right? What's the problem is?
We don't have anything to get rid of duplicates.
That's, well, it is similar, right? What's the problem? How long does it take me to add an element? And it's very fast, right? Order of 1-ish, right? Depending on whatever the list, but it's one call to the add element of the list. How long does it take me to find whether an element is there or not?
It depends how much you got in. If you got in of
Right.
element, then
It's linear on the number of elements on the list, right? One operation per element on the list, right? And even worse, I'm not even eliminating duplicates. So life sucks even more.
Well, maybe you don't have to technically eliminate duplicates from the set. Like you need a set of like.
I don't have to eliminate duplicates. This works, right? If it contains it twice, I still return
Just
true
say
for it
that,
contains it, right? I find the first one, return true, and
Right.
I don't care what it's after. Maybe I have it 7 times. Who cares? Right? That's the definition of the no duplicate, right? Really means it's the same whether it contains 5 instances or 2 or 1 of the same element. That's what no duplicates means. Doesn't mean it can never contain any duplicates. It really means if it has duplicates, it's the same as if it contains.
Right. You
one.
could have a set of like 7, 7, 7,
Yeah.
Carnelli 1.
Yeah, exactly. The cardinality is still 1, no, right? And so, how could we do it so that we eliminate duplicates? Yep. Now I'm not storing my duplicates. Does this make sense? Can we extract more stuff from this? What else could we do to make this slightly better?
Check to see even if there's even or odd. That way you can just bypass off of them.
And then have like 2 arrays or something like that?
Well, I mean, you can check to see if your element you're looking for is even or odd, and then only check.
Oh, go by
even numbers
2s?
or odd numbers, and That way you're.
No, because I'm storing, right? I'm not storing, even if the element may be 7, but it may be stored in position 2.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so you're checking your elements. So you just say if, your element, is odd, then never mind. Don't worry. Yeah, I understand.
I could have, well, yeah.
Well, the set needs to be able to contain another set. Not just inserts.
No. What do you mean?
Sets can contain sets.
Maybe. No, they don't. Sets contains elements of one kind of thing. Right? They could contain integers, they could contain sets of integers, but they can't contain both integers and sets of integers. Wow.
I guess I'm thinking of the case.
Except
of
if they're salads. The empty set is not a. The empty set doesn't contain the empty set. The empty set doesn't contain anything.
Right, but like say you do the power set of a set.
The power set of a set is a set of sets.
Right. Yeah. So then you're gonna need to have sets of sets in that.
Yes. But not. This is a set of integers. Actually, let me prime your brain on these kinds of things. How can we define? If you look at this stuff, right? Where am I using integer? What's the difference between a set of integers and a set of doubles, right? What would I need to do to make this a set of doubles? Change it here and change it here and here, right? This was integer. Does that make sense? I can do this, create a type variable, and after that, sorry?
You can use a type for integer.
Yes. After that, I can use this for integers or doubles or strings or whatever the heck I want.
So type is just the basic.
It's a variable. It makes it generic. It's a variable, but it's a variable that takes types as values.
Okay, but not objects.
Classes.
So it could be objects.
Classes are different than objects, although classes are objects. Objects are instances. Classes are types.
Okay.
So it's going to take the integer.
It's going to take
not
integer, not 3.
object.
It's going to take integer, not 3.
Okay. Or we'll take like the type of object, not an instance of an object.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what this allows me to do is you do
What is it for set?
well, call them add, and I made it public.
Oh, you made it.
So, what's this problem? This is a public class. What's this problem?
Is there already an add?
I'm an idiot.
You didn't say you could use type.
I'm not inside a function.
I did this earlier today.
So I can't. I was declaring variables, right? And so it doesn't let me.
I sat there for a little bit longer.
Incidentally, what is it that requires the main function? Because when I compile a whole program, which can be like several Java files, there needs to be one main function. Or, well, I guess there needs to be a class main.
No.
No, there just needs to be a main function somewhere.
Maybe. When you package the thing, you can do different things, right? When you package it, Java wants you to package it as a jar file, usually, sometimes. In a jar file, you can specify in a jar file is a zip file, except with particular formatting, with particular folders inside. And so there's a manifest folder, something like that, where you can specify what's the main class.
I see.
And that's the one that will be executed when you double click on it or something like that.
All right, so that's
You
what it is.
can, given a jar file, you can tell Java, execute the main from this class.
Yeah, or you could even maybe tell it we don't need a main or something.
You could tell it we don't need a main if you have a library, right? Doesn't have a main, it's just going to be called by somebody else. Eventually, to run it, you need a main, so you need to somehow tell Java.
So you do need a function called main. You can't just say like we're going to call it main2 or something.
If you are going to run it, it doesn't just need to be. It needs to be public static void main, and it has to take a string of arguments, an array of strings. So it has to be this.
Okay.
Well, actually, the name can be whatever, right? Because it's just a name.
Okay, that could change.
And it doesn't have to be in the main file.
It does. It can be in whichever class,
The
right?
class isn't, but but you need PSVM.
Yes.
All right.
You need PSVM.
I just like to know like what is actually.
You need
necessary.
PSVM. That is necessary. You don't need to have one in your jar file, but right. Of course, you never create jar files manually. You use Ant or Gradle to create jar files. But you could create a jar file manually. So we could do this, and then we could also do.
Is this Eclipse here?
No, this is IntelliJ.
We're using IntelliJ. I use it too.
Oh. Yes. So now, this guy is completely generic. So I'll probably get through. Yay! Isn't this really cool? I can create generic classes.
Why is it true that it contains 5?
Yeah.
Because I added it.
Oh, what you added? Oh, it was the same string.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
It's like, why is the first one contain 5?
One
It's all
was an int and the other, yeah. So this would now be false, right? So now this would be true or false.
You're just asking if it's
How
in the
about
set.
if you put a 5 inside, the 5, put 5 in front of them?
This,
Yeah, just add 5 in front of. No. Just
Put
the
the number
number.
5,
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
I would get false, right? Because it's not the same. They're the same string. No, they're not.
You don't see each character. You just
Yes.
see the whole string.
It compares the whole string with equals.
Okay.
Actually, I am doing horrible things here. This should not be equal. It should be dot equals. just in case.
And what is the case where that fails? Where with strings when you do equals equals? Like when you have integers inside the string or something.
No, if I was doing equal equal, right? What does equal equal does?
Compares values.
No, compares identities. Are they the same object? Are they the same guy in RAM? Right? For primitives, there is no identity, so it just compares the values. Now, strings are not primitives. So, for strings, however, strings are not primitives, but Java does magic. So, if I do this, are these two guys the same value? They shouldn't, but Java makes them the same because it doesn't create two of them. Right? So this would do true, true. However, what if I do this? Should do true, right? But it does false. Oops. Was too smart.
What did you?
I have it with equal equal, right?
I think you
What was the Java update last night? So maybe.
No, this will make it work. The compiler is becoming nice. It's becoming better at optimizing stuff, I think. Please tell me that you're gonna work. Yeah.
I'm not
Basically,
sure I completely understand all the cases for.
what it's doing is saying, now this guy is not the same object because you made me create a new object. So now they're not the same object. So when I do this guy dot equals, now it should work. So basically, it is a bug to use equal equals, but many times Java will mask the bug until you read it, let's say, from a file or something like that, and then, oops, now it's not the same
So
value.
for any object, I should just use dot equals, including strings.
Yes, yes. Always use dot equals. Cool. I think I'll give you back 7 minutes of your life or something like that. Any questions on collections? No? Life is good?
When you create interface last time,
Yes.
you created right-click new interface or you just type it in?
I don't know, but you have to do new class regardless for IntelliJ and then here change it to interface.
Oh, okay.
Or just
That's
create it as class and then delete this stuff and say interface, right? It's just creating a bunch of text so you can change the text.
Yeah, I was looking inside new, looking for interface. That is again interface.
No, you create a class called interface. It's like ah, but that's IntelliJ. Eclipse may have something different. I don't know. I haven't used Eclipse in a while.
Thank you.
Sure. Let me stop this guy.